So what do I mean by that? So oftentimes when you talk to any like old school business person, they're gonna talk about like business cards, brochures, websites. You gotta get a shingle, right, for your building. And it's just like that stuff used to make sense, but in nowadays market there are so many different ways that you can kind of have an online presence without necessarily having to spend time on a website. Now, for most people, instead of building a website with like a lot of different like pages and stuff on it, just build what's called a landing page. Like if you can't handle not having people or if you can't handle people like telling you stuff and not doing anything about it, okay, then we can kind of compromise and we'll talk about that. But most people when they think about a website, it just adds too much time to their initial startup journey, because you have to figure out like what's on your homepage, what's on your about page, what's your bio, do you have a contact page? If you have a contact page, do you put a phone number, do you have to go find a business address? Like there's so many different cans of worms that kind of pop up before you actually need to. And remember, when you're starting a business, the only thing that you really need to do is three main things: talk to people, give price quotes on your consultation calls, and then do client work. Those are the only three things, okay? Building a website is not one of those three things, because in a lot of cases it's not really talking to a client. It's more for if someone doesn't trust you, it's something you can use to kind of build trust. But that even kind of comes down to another thing, right? So most times what happens when you're building a website in the beginning, you have no trust assets. A trust asset can be a testimonial, a trust asset can be some kind of credential, a trust asset can be a client that you worked with, a client logo, etc. You can have like content of like you making videos or blog posts, but you generally don't have that when you're starting out, right? So all that does is make you have to like spend like 6 weeks to a month when it's like you could have just gotten one client. Now in some cases, like we run into people where it's like, oh, you need a website, I won't do business with you unless you have a website. Yeah, and we'll talk about that inside the business lesson, why that happens and kind of like what you should be thinking about. But there's a lot of people that don't even care. Like we get a number of clients even nowadays where it's like, oh, do you have a website? Why do you need to look at the website? And like what you really get is really a trust objection. They just don't trust you. And in that case, if you have a trust objection, all you should do is what's called an authority section. So if you ever see like any of our like how-to videos when we talk about like the authority section, on your consultation call there's a section where you're basically supposed to ask them like how much they already know about you, right? Basically, because like if someone knows a million things about you, you don't need to go and like prove that you know what you're doing. But if they know 0 things about you, they need to give an organized description of yourself, your background, your history, your experience. Now if you don't have a lot of accounting or bookkeeping experience, that's a-okay too. We inside of our program we give you what's called like a business resume. So it just helps you boost your credibility, and it helps you really understand like what is credibility like at its base element, right? It's not just about having a million years experience. It's not just about working inside the industry. There's a lot more to experience, a lot more to credibility than just that. We kind of talk about how to break it down. Right? But most people, what they're generally going to try and do is like, it just takes way too much time. Like you will, okay, here's another thing too, and why it's a rookie mistake. When you're starting out, you think that your job is to turn no's into yeses. Right? So someone says, I don't want to work with you, or I already have a bookkeeper in place, or I'm not looking to hire this. Most people think we should turn a no into a yes. That's just because we don't have enough yeses or maybes. Ideally, you turn a yes into a yes. You just continue the yes momentum, right? If someone already wants to work with you, just don't drop the ball and you'll end up with a client. The next skill set is understanding who is a maybe and turning a maybe into a yes. But as soon as you have someone that's a no, it's just like just getting rid of them as fast as possible, and maybe like putting them inside of your follow-up sequence. So when we talk about different follow-up sequences inside of our program and stuff like that, I think I just released a video on this podcast. And I gotta stop saying video because it's a video podcast, so we have the audio as well as the video depending on like what is your preference. But it actually goes through how to follow up with leads and like what are the different types of follow-ups, what are the different stages of follow-ups, and how to make sure you get like as many people as possible back on the phone who are potentially a maybe but just didn't sign up. Now most people that are going to sign up with you, and this kind of goes back to like the rookie mistake, is like most people don't understand this if you're a rookie, is that the people that end up buying from you are going to actually buy from you without objections. Now in some cases they might say an obstacle, but it's generally going to be like there is no objection or reason why they don't want to do it. they either want to work with you and like there's nothing in their way that's stopping them to get started, or they have some sort of like logistical issue that kind of came up, like they're in a contract that's ending in 2 months with their current bookkeeper, or they are going out of town, or they have no money because they're like buying, like just there's some reason why they want to do it, they just can't physically do it at this moment in time. That's where most of your buyers are actually going to come from, right? So whenever you like have someone say, no, I don't want to work with you because of this, you don't have a website, that's not really a buyer. So for you to go out and like try and appease all those buyers, it's really not the best thing, because that's just one scapegoat that they could have used to get off the phone with you to basically avoid hurting your feeling or directly being in confrontation with you. Oftentimes people are just kind of nervous that if they tell you flat out no, that you're going to try and objection handle them and it'll get kind of ugly on the phone, right? And it turns like an argument, like, well, why don't you want to work with me? Well, don't you want to do this? Well, you know you need bookkeeping. Like, no one wants to really kind of deal with that, so they'll tell you some random thing like the website. Okay, and this kind of slides into our second point, which is like the business lesson of the week, which is only focus on the yeses. Do not change your business based on a no. Kind of like the website. Sometimes there are people where it's like at the end of the call, or even at the beginning, like they might have got on the call just to kind of waste time and do what's called tire kicking, right? And like some people think like a tire kicker is just someone that like is just kind of wasting time. In my opinion, a tire kicker is anyone that does not really have the intention of pulling the trigger within a 1 to 2 week time frame. So that some people is like, oh, I'm just getting information, or oh, I'm just kind of like hearing what you have to say, or oh, I'm thinking about potentially in the future. Those are tire kickers to me, right? But oftentimes they're going to give you a weird reason at the end of the call why they don't want to get started today. So in some cases, it's like the website. Well, it's like, but I'm sitting right in front of you. Why do you need to go and review a website if I'm sitting right in front of you and I can answer any question you have or submit any kind of documents you need right now, right? It's because it's a no. It's not a real objection. It's just a smoke screen. Right, it's just the easiest thing for them to latch on because you just basically said that you don't have it. I actually had a person like that last week. They were talking about like, oh, well, can I see your website? It's like, well, weird question. I mean, like, why do you need a website? We already sent you our business resume. We've been talking. We have great reviews. So I guess why do you need a website? Well, I just don't really know anything about you. Well, okay. Well, what do you want to know? Well, blah, blah, well, it's this, what's this, how long have you been in business, how long have you been doing this, what do you do this? We just answer every single one of the questions, and the person signs up. So it's like, it wasn't about the website, it was a trust objection where you have to get clarity on the trust objection first, and then once they kind of admit that they don't trust you, and then you can isolate, like, is that lack of trust the only thing that's stopping you from actually getting started with us? Then they're going to tell you yes or no, right? But if you get a yes, okay, you handle the objection. If there's a no, you have to kind of understand, like, what are all the different micro objections, and then from there you have to kind of make a decision. Like, do you want to go and actively handle all those decisions or all those objections, or do you want to kind of just like let them go and then let time handle the objections? Now, like, probably if this was like 7 years ago, I probably would have just handled all the objections just because. But nowadays, I like using more information to kind of close those objections, just because you get someone to stay with you for a lot longer. It's just much more of a committed kind of yes than just like handling the objections. Now, notice what I said there. And even here's even the cool thing. You don't even need a website for that. So you can give information to people, and you can like give an information packet that's like a Google document. It doesn't even have to be like a website. And it's like, I just find it kind of funny because it's like a lot of people, it's always people that don't use the internet that always want to do like some kind of like website or something, or it's always someone that doesn't want to buy from you that wants to give you some kind of like unsolicited advice. It's like, oh, well, I'm not really looking for an accountant, but like if you want to get accounting clients, you should do this. It's like, well, you've never hired a bookkeeper, you never worked with an accountant, so how the heck do you know what a successful one should have? You just saw them with a friend, you've never even experienced it, so how would you actually know? You know what I mean? So it's like, you take information from them with a grain of salt. The only exception is if someone's actually working with you. Like, once someone's paid you money, okay, cool, I'll listen to any question you have, and it makes total sense. But until you've done that, it's like you're like, as a human, you have value, but as a business owner or operation, like, you have no value to me. And like, no value, like your advice has no value to me. Like, I know that sounds kind of harsh, but it's like, there's so many times in my business career where like someone who like wasn't going to buy from me told me something, and I would just like try and change it. Then I go back to them and say, hey, I finally have this. And like, oh, well, you don't have this. And it's just like, just tell me no, man, rather than kind of like putting you down like on a wild goose chase. You know what I mean? That's the danger like that a rookie kind of faces. Is all the like micro mini goose chases that you kind of go down over and over and over again before you actually find success. Because like again, when you just strip it down to those three things, where it's like you talk to potential clients, you give them a price quote on your consultation call, and do good work. Like if you just do all those three things, you just give it 6 months to a year, you're gonna be at six figures no matter what. Like unless like you're terrible. Like if you have no sales skills, you can't get a large enough number of people to talk to, or you just don't know what to say. Like that's the only time I see people really struggle. Which is why like we make these like videos, and it's pretty hard for me to customize the information for you when it comes to like a video or like a podcast like that. That's why people actually do our mentorship program, because there's a lot of different like customizations, and it's not just about the information. Like you watching like a million podcasts or a million like YouTube videos, and like if you watch a bunch of videos but you still don't have any results from it, it's generally because it's not because you don't know enough. It's because you don't know how to utilize the information and knowledge that you do have to actually go and get a result, right? That's a skill set in itself. It's using the vast information you have to be able to actually go and get an outcome from the information, right? That's why they talk about like knowledge, wisdom, understanding. There's an ancient book, right? It talks about like the three pillars of like really having success. It's knowledge, wisdom, understanding, right? So knowledge is just having it. Understanding is how to kind of like translate the knowledge you have into a usable vehicle. Wisdom is more of like the you actually using your understanding to go and make some sort of change, and it's the recollection of the experiences you had of using that understanding that you got from the knowledge, right? So most people, if they're just watching YouTube videos, it's like they have a million hours of knowledge, but their understanding might be a little bit weak, and that's where it's like the coaching and like the mentorship kind of comes in. And then if you already had wisdom, you wouldn't really need to like to learn this stuff in the first place, because you'd already have those reference experiences, right? So I learn more days from wisdom than I do from like knowledge and understanding, because I'm going back through my reference experiences and I'm using the past, right? Past wisdom to further increase my understanding, and then as I do the activities, my knowledge grows wider and wider. So it's like in the beginning you have to learn knowledge, then you have to increase your understanding, then you go and earn your wisdom, right? But then once you have that wisdom, now it goes in reverse. So it's like you use your past experiences to further your understanding, and then that leads to more knowledge kind of growing. So it's just like a reverse feedback loop over and over and over and over again, right? And that's really the strong thing. And then next thing, the wild card for this week is learning how to be kind with everybody, especially if you have things that most other people don't have. So I don't, some of you might know, but like I have some nice cars, right? I've put in a lot of work over the years, and one thing that I like doing was anytime that I wanted to get a nice car, I generally get a nice car. I was going to the gym today, and I get out my car, and like, so here's the car, here's like the gym side. So I open the door, I see this one person like walking, this short girl, lady, I don't know exactly how to describe her. I don't know exactly what her age range was, but she's kind of like rapping out loud, just like saying some kind of like rap music, but she's walking over, so I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm just gonna like ignore the person as I'm kind of going. I close the door, and the person goes, can I borrow $2 from you? I was like, I don't really have any cash. So I like walk on this side of the car, and usually like if someone who's less fortunate kind of asks for money, it's like there's two outcomes that kind of happen, or three outcomes. You either give them the money, you say no, and they kind of like say, oh, well, that's okay, and you feel bad and you end up giving them money. Or the third thing happened, which today, and I haven't had this happen to me before, but the person, like, as I'm walking away, the person basically like follows me around my car and then choose like a wider path than me to the gym, because like, I'm just trying to go to the gym. They choose a wider path and like kind of intercept me, and as like they're walking, I think the person's continuing their rap song, but all of a sudden I hear them like curse at me. So he's like, she called me like a curse word. I was like, what? And then he kept talking. He's like, you think I came out your car? I was like, what? I'm just trying to go to the gym. He's like, you ain't never do anything for people like me. I was like, okay. And like I was like, I didn't know if the person was like trying to fight me, because like he kept like walking and like it wasn't walking at me, it was walking like this way passed. So I didn't know. So I was like, so is this gonna turn into a fight, a confrontation? Is this person rapping their song? Is the person talking? It was just so confusing. And then I finally go around the person the other way and then go to the gym. And then the person just kind of like disappeared. So it was like very, very strange. But I was like, oh, is this person gonna key my car or something? Like, it did not make any sense. I was like, you asked me for money. I said I don't have any cash, and then now you're mad at me. It was so weird. It was so weird. I've never had that, because like, and the unfortunate part is like, I don't understand like what was the person expecting for that interaction? Because here's the thing. So if you insult me, I can't now turn around and give you money. I have to dig my heels in and not give you money now. You know what I mean? Versus if like the person was nice about it, then you feel bad and it's like, oh well, maybe I can scrape up some cash. I actually didn't have any cash. I had my cash on my desk today instead of in my wallet. So I didn't have any cash today in my wallet. So I was actually telling the truth that time. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird world out here, man. People are very, very entitled. It's weird because like people are both in need, but then people also can be like very entitled. And I kind of find, like, I don't know, it's just a weird kind of situation most people are in. But it's like, I'm kind of grateful for the place that I'm at, that I'm not in that situation, because I mean that person could have like some mental challenges going on. That was crazy. So I was like, are you rapping? Am I being insulted? Do you still want money from me? Why are you walking to me? You're not walking by me. You're walking the same direction. So it's like, it's just so confusing. But that is the life of Bryce, and that's just kind of like the life that's going, okay? So this has been the Bookkeeping Business Bookkeeping Business Secrets podcast for this week. Hopefully looking forward to having you inside of here. I think one thing I'm going to start adding on is like the live session to this. So I'm probably going to go like live either on like YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn in the beginning of the episode, and I'm gonna like attach that to this as well, just to kind of give it a little bit more longevity and just to kind of answer any questions that some of you guys might have if you're following me on other platforms as well. Okay, so I'd love to see you inside the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take it easy. It's been Bryce Tubbs and the Bookkeeping Business Secrets podcast.